Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Yorktown Town Board meeting, March 3rd, 2020. I want to ask everyone to please silence your cell phones, and then, Councilman, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I think we should have somebody lead the pledge.
Sure. Captain Davin, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We have Captain Davin.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask everyone to please take a moment of silence and remember the victims of the tornadoes in Nashville, also those on the West Coast and now New York City battling the coronavirus. And I also ask that everyone please join me here and at home with a special prayer for my colleague and our neighbor, Newcastle Supervisor Ivy Poole, who tragically lost her 11-year-old son over the weekend in a hiking accident in the Catskills. Thank you. Introductions.
Good evening, Diana Quast, Town Clerk.
Vishnu Patel, Yorktown Councilman.
Good evening, Alice Roker, Councilperson.
Matt Slater, Town Supervisor.
Tom Diana, Councilman.
Ed Lachterman, Councilman.
Dave Paganelli, Highway Superintendent.
Adam Rodriguez, Town Attorney.
And we have quite a few announcements as part of our reports. We will begin. So obviously, one of the top topics that I want to address is the coronavirus. Earlier today, I was on a conference call with Westchester County Executive George Latimer, our partners in government on the county, state, federal, and local levels. And I know that also, Councilman, I don't want to take up too much fire from you, but Councilman Diana attended a roundtable at Northern Westchester Hospital. Westchester does have its first confirmed coronavirus, individual infected with coronavirus down in New Rochelle. It was identified, I believe, yesterday and announced this morning by the governor and the county executive. Important to note, if I could, just a couple of, and again, I don't want to take up too much of Councilman Diana's report. 80% of people who get exposed to the coronavirus, according to the governor and according to the county executive and according to the commissioner of health, 80% of those individuals will not, and I repeat, will not see symptoms. This is something that we need to just be mindful of, be thoughtful of. I can tell you here in Town Hall and in crosstown government, we're going to be installing antiseptic stations in all of our town buildings. Here at Town Hall, the library, the police department, water department, so on and so forth. But again, 80% of those who come into contact with this virus will not be impacted. It's the 20% that we actually obviously need to watch out for. And again, that's our seniors, our young children, people with compromised immune systems. And so there's also, that was launched today, a state hotline launched by the governor's office, 888-364-3065. That's for this state hotline. I spoke earlier today with Chief Noble. Very happy to report also that since the middle of February, our police department has implemented screening protocols to identify any potential cases of coronavirus when someone calls the PD for help and assistance. And I know that Councilman Diana is going to be talking more on this topic shortly. A couple of other items for us to touch upon. Over on 202, Pad B of Lowe's, over up at the Lowe's site, broke ground last week. That is the Starbucks and AAA. So it's great to see that. In Jefferson Valley, 24-hour fitness is set to open later this month as well. So it's great to see those businesses.
That's in the mall.
That's right? Over in the mall. That's right. That's the old Sears building. So they're set to open. From our engineering department, we got a great report that we were approved from DOT to go out to bids for the Veterans Road Culvert and Hill Boulevard. So we're very excited for those two projects to be underway. I was out with our water department over the weekend at the main break at Kier and Commerce. Just so impressed with our water department and the great job they do. And overall, for the month, there were four water main breaks that they tended to. And if I could just remind everyone, when you're seeing our workers out on the street and they're in a hole up to their chest, let's slow down, please, when you're driving by them. And if you see a sign that says the road's closed, the road's closed. I saw too many people try to get around that while I was out there with our water department. It's about safety. They're out there doing their jobs. Let's let them do their jobs, please. Our Section 8 housing HUD audit was completed, and there were no findings, which was great to hear. We have some great things that we're going to be talking about from our library, but I also wanted to report, and I know Jennifer O'Neill is here, but they did finish our annual state report. That has been completed. And beginning this Friday, there will be a delayed openings on Fridays for the library because they are conducting staff meetings, which is great to hear as well. And I know Jennifer's here, and she may speak to that shortly. The Parks and Rec brochure for spring and summer has been printed. There's copies in the back. There's, thank you, there's the green copies right there. A lot of great information for everyone to see. It's also online, and I believe it's being mailed as well. Junior Lake Pool, I just want to talk about Junior Lake Pool. There's going to be safety upgrades that are underway. Junior Lake Pool, it's a concrete project, and that is expected to be completed within the next 2 weeks. And I was also out earlier today with our parks superintendent, as well as some of our staff, visiting some of our pocket parks as they continue to do a great job tidying up our pocket parks, laying mulch, and getting them ready for the spring season. Our state audit starts next week, so everyone say another prayer for our comptroller, Pat Caparel, who's upstairs watching. Be extra nice to her. From our refuse and recycling, we had our e-waste day on Friday, which was great. 108 customers came by. They dropped off 22 monitors, 30 computer towers, 62 TVs, and we collected 69 bags of textiles. And that was all on Friday. Their next event is going to be April 18th. So if you have something that you want dropped off, April 18th will be the next event. And also happy to report that the mobile shredder will be back in Yorktown on April 17th at the Shrub Oak Park off of Sunnyside Avenue. I believe John Tegeter is here, our town planner. Railroad Station continues, due to be finished in May. I saw some comments on Facebook, just to continue to educate everyone. It's going to have a waiting area, which is basically going to act as a welcome center, with some moving displays, as well as seasonal concessions, which we're still putting that together as well. Trying to see what else there was. And lastly, also from the planning department, CVS, the CVS project was approved by the planning board, and so they are moving ahead, and that's going to be on 202 across from BJ's. For those who don't know, I'm sure it was in the news a lot, but we do have a new plastic bag ban in New York State that went into effect March 1st, but also happy to report that we're working with our refuge and recycling director about actually producing our Yorktown reusable bag in recognition of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day, which we're excited to celebrate. Councilwoman Roker and John Tegeter and I also attended the NYPA Sustainable Westchester Forum, talking about solar energy, how we can move forward with a lot of the solar energy projects and embrace sustainability. And as a reminder, our Climate Smart Communities Task Force will be meeting Wednesday, March 18th, right here in the Town Hall boardroom at 6:30. And last but not least, there is a flyer. Do you have the census flyer, anybody?
I do.
Yes, I have it.
Do you have a copy?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's right here. There it is.
There you go.
Last but not least, as a reminder, census, March marks the beginning of the census. You'll be getting notified in the mail. You'll be receiving, and we also have a flyer that's in the back as well. The big thing I want to emphasize, and I visited the senior advisory committee is just be careful of scams. There's going to be a lot of people who are trying to utilize the census to scam everybody, especially our seniors. So just know, if you could, they will never ask you about your bank account number, your credit card number, your social security numbers. They will never ask you to purchase gift cards. They will never ask you, you laugh, it's true.
No.
They will never ask you for an ID, such as your driver's license. And they will also never ask you for payment or donation of any kind. In fact, they will never call you. The Census Bureau will never call you. You will only be able to participate via mail. They will have people knocking on doors eventually later in the spring for those who have not.
Yeah, if you don't fill it out, they will come. They
will come. They're coming to knock on your door. I think Councilman Patel already volunteered.
Yes, he did. And they will have ID.
And yes, they will have ID. And also, just as a reminder, the census is only 9 questions. So if you ever find yourself being asked more than 9 questions, you know that you're not actually taking the census. Last but not least, 2 more things. Great job by the Yorktown stage. I was over at the Lion King Kids show Saturday. They had a Friday show, 2 shows Saturday, and they won't say it, so I think I'm just going to say it for them. They sold them out.
Really? That's wonderful.
Awesome. Just an awesome job by the kids. It was fantastic. They had a ball. And last but not least, our Martin Luther King essay contest. We had some tremendous applicants, and I'm just trying to find where my list went. We had some tremendous applicants, and I just want to announce the winners. For the 4th grade, thank you. For the 4th grade, we had 1 winner because there was only one 4th grade contestant, and that was Grace Condren. So congratulations, Grace.
If I could, just real quick, with the 4th grader, I know we only had the one, so she's the winner.
Yep.
But going through them all, she was the only one that actually came up with a solution to the problem, which was very interesting that a 4th grader would come up with a solution to a problem or to the things at hand.
Yeah. All the essays
Very good. They were all excellent.
Were
all
wonderful.
excellent.
So we have 4th grade Grace Condren, 5th grade boys Benjamin Smith, and 5th grade girls. We're going to be recognizing 2 5th grade girls, and I apologize if I don't get the name correctly. Daniela Schlaku and Robin Young. And so
I want to live in the world that these girls want to live in. If you read, and hopefully they'll read their essays.
Yep, they'll be invited to
And
read
you'll
them.
understand why I want to live in their world.
Absolutely.
These are wonderful, wonderful young people, and kudos to their parents.
Absolutely. And thank you again to everyone who participated. We really enjoyed reading all of the essays, and it was a very tough decision. So with that being said,
may I say something? I would like to add one more name, the Laila Marcia, the 5th grade from St. Patrick Leary. She was also very, because,
they were all-
many
They were
of
all
them are
fantastic.
comparable, and if you want to recognize one more, we can get something from them.
Absolutely.
But you're going to be representing to each and every one the certificate.
Yeah, all the
That's
participants
very
are gonna
good.
be,
Yeah, it's
recognized.
really tremendous that they have this kind of thinking, that how there is a one community can stick together, no matter what we are, to make things town better, what else you wanted,
Yeah,
Correct.
you get
Well, thank
nowhere
you.
without a vision on where you want to go, and they really had
Absolutely.
vision.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And with that being said, that concludes my report to the town. I'll now pass it over to Councilman Patel.
Now, which side, when I say, you have said everything, so I do not repeat any word said by anybody else. But I have 2 really MD, nephew and nieces, and they were here when I got inaugurated 11 years ago, and I spoke to about the coronavirus, and they said one of the one is really, really good, the MD. So she explained to me, and I also read my own, that there are several kind of coronavirus. They have a different impacts on some on the bird, some of the animals, and it's really my concern is what will happen if those animals are loose somewhere in the nature, and then human being maybe they consume some contaminated food or something. And then another thing is when you go in the store, everybody touch everything, and then you think that you have some droplets of something in your hand or something. So I urge the people, any kind of a vegetable and fruit, you try to wash it, just to rinse it
Right.
before you store, because Food and Drug Administration, they have cut down so much money to inspect the incoming food. And you get the food, you don't know where it came from. It's like a bottle of water, okay? So these are the issue we have to just control by ourselves, and this is where you greet them, okay? Thank you.
Well,
Thank you,
that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons we would like people to recognize the farmers in Yorktown, and they will know where their food came from. There are so many really, really good farms in Yorktown, and hopefully at some point we'll have a brochure of the farms within the town of Yorktown.
But right now, Councilwoman, the real issue is how we can stop spreading it. And we can do our own, I just said it, because there are so many different, and you can mutate every second, that's another, we have no control, they can breed faster than anything else. So listen to the medical society, their brochure, and all the senior citizens or the young one, those who are more susceptible to, this kind of a attack on your body. Please take precautions, because the mask cannot alone. It's good to have it, but wash your hand, and this is where you get them.
And don't shake hands.
Yeah. Councilwoman, do you have any other?
No, I was really excited. I was glad you spoke about the NIPER place, the NIPER conference we went to, because, you hear about solar energy and whatever, and people talk about it, and I know Ed's told us about it, and I still couldn't get it. We went to NIPA, and there is a program which we hope to become a partner with them in, and
Several.
we don't have to do anything. They do everything. So we will give you much more information on that partnership as soon as it becomes available.
With NIPA and Sustainable Westchester.
I think our town should be the first thing to see when you come in a town, that we have a solar panel on our town hall.
Sign me
let's
up.
do the fundraising. Okay?
Sign me up.
That's
Sign me up.
And it was the IBM second generation solar cell was invented right here, right? That's the guys we have here, okay? So we should be the leader here.
I agree.
Thank you.
Lead by example. I agree. Councilman Diana, report to the town, please.
Thank you, Supervisor. Good evening, everybody. Last Friday, I had gone to a table meeting with our health department, Dr. Amler, and the Northern Westchester hospital officials with regard to the coronavirus. The purpose of this was to ease concerns. As of today, there is only one confirmed case, as the supervisor said, in New Rochelle. The people that we want to really have aware of this are the at-risk people. Your elderly, and so forth. You're young, you're very young. Their main stress on the topic at hand was to be calm. Okay? Let's not let this go into a frenzy. The media will have you nuts over this stuff. If you think that you are ill from some type of a virus, talk to your healthcare professional. The symptoms of a regular flu, and I guess there are really no regular flus, but the symptoms of a flu is what you have to be concerned about: cough, fever, achiness, etc. But for the most part, it's just going to be the flu. It's not going to be the coronavirus, hopefully. Check your CDC, your Center for Disease Control website. Check your health department website. Keep germs to yourself, okay? If you have a cough, okay, cover your mouth, okay? Basically, that's it in a nutshell. The way it was explained is this is a heavy virus. It does not travel far. And it's not going to be transferred airborne through, well, it can go through air ducts, but they say that it only goes about 6 feet before it finally hits the floor, so to speak. The key is find out if you're suffering from a flu-like Yeah, huh?
Fuel.
Flu-like
Symptoms.
symptom. That was easy for you to say. Okay, is to find out if you've been exposed to somebody that has been in the areas where this is running rampant, and to let your healthcare professional know. The very best thing you can do, folks, keep your hands clean. Wash your hands. Paper towel dry them. Because we all know when you go into a bathroom someplace and you use that great Dyson thing that blows the skin off of your hands, okay? What's the last thing you usually do when you walk out? You wipe your hands on your pants because they're not dry yet. And, of course, you're putting germs back on. The next best thing is to keep your hands away from your face.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you, Ed, for that prop.
I saw his notes.
Keep your hands away from your face. Use hand sanitizer. You can get it just about any place. Well, it's a little bit tougher now.
Sold out.
But if you can get it, keep some in your purse, in your pocket, whatever you might, wherever you might like to carry it. One thing that I found very interesting is the eco-friendly surface wipes that we all like to use to keep the environment fresh. They are unable to affect this virus. Okay? The very best thing you can do is either get the commercially available bleach wipes,
Yeah.
or you mix a gallon of water with a couple tablespoons of bleach, put it in a spray bottle, spray your surfaces. You must let it remain on the surface. You can't just spray it on, wipe it off. It's not going to do a darn thing for you. You got to let it remain on the surface, let it do its thing, and then you can wipe up the residual. Follow directions for sanitization on the bleach bottles. So it's a very inexpensive, very easy thing to do. The risk is low. At this point in time, the risk is low. Once again, check your Department of Health, your county Department of Health website, your New York State Department of Health website. And once again, if anybody wants to jot the number down for the hotline for New York State, it's 888-364-3065. And as promised by our health department, they were going to have it out by Monday, and they did. And Jenna, if you would, could you put these on the back table?
These are the fact sheets that was provided by the Westchester County Department of Health.
Yeah.
Also, it was shared earlier over the weekend on our town Facebook page. So, of course, if you're on social media, we try to continually update folks on this matter on social media. So you can use that as a source of information as well.
You know, one of the things that they say for people who believe they do have the coronavirus, what they advise you to do is to call that New York State number before you do anything. Don't go to the hospital first.
Right.
Call that number first.
Yeah, that was something that the county executive actually emphasized is before you leave your house and you go into a waiting room, call someone first and talk to your healthcare provider first and let them give you the instructions from there.
And one of the healthcare providers that was there said that you could check the back of your insurance card if you had, for your health insurance, and it is called telehealth. You can call I believe it's an 800 number off the back of your insurance card, and it's kind of like WebMD. They can
Doc in a box.
Exactly, doc in a box. I like that, and they can give you further information and give you further symptoms, etc.
So may I ask this board, anybody know the answer? If somebody doesn't have insurance, who do they call?
They should call the hotline from the state.
That hotline.
Yeah.
The hotline from
We
the
should
state,
allow
and the
them to
county's
know,
also
you know,
putting the
because
county's
some
also
people-
putting up the 211 number as well. So you can
Because
call
this is really
either the hotline from the state or 211, and Westchester County is having that.
this is
211 number
much
manned.
worse than influenza, and there is a cold or so many. And this is not only the one problem. You may have already many problems in your immune system, and then this is adding extra burden. That makes it everything worse.
Well, if you have any respiratory problems, it's a burden because that's one of they're within that 20% you spoke about, as well as seniors and babies.
Matter of fact, the gentleman in New Rochelle had an underlying respiratory issue to begin with.
Councilman Diana, you finished with your?
Just remember, wash your hands and keep your hands away from your face.
Didn't your mother always say,
Councilman
wash your hands?
Lachterman.
Yes.
All right.
Reports of the town.
I'll just run through a couple of dates and events real quick. This coming Sunday, March 8th, daylight savings time. So when you go to bed Saturday night, spring forward, we lose the hour's sleep. But it'll be worth it to have that extra hour of sunshine at the end of the day. Also happening on Sunday from noon to 3, the opening of the virtual reality studio, VR Studios at the JV Mall. I believe they're doing a fundraising raffle for the Alliance for Safe Kids, where they're going to be giving like some passes away as prizes. So that'll be great. I went in there the other day. Looked amazing. Really great place, not only for the kids, but even like corporate team building events and all. So really nice job they did there. Also, this past Sunday, I want to congratulate the Play Connection at the JV Mall and John Iorio. They celebrated 5 years at the Jefferson Valley Mall. And they had a great raffle. They gave away, for the Willy Wonka fans, a golden ticket. But the golden ticket gave a 1 hour of free play for 365 days to a child. So, yeah, so pretty cool thing.
Did you win that?
I did not. And
Okay.
I pulled the ticket, and I was trying to slide mine in there, but John caught me.
Ed wins at everything.
Sometimes.
He wishes.
Yes. March 15th, for those of you that want to celebrate St. Patty's Day a little early, because you're going to be coming to the town board meeting that night, on the 17th, the Sons of the American Legion will have their corned beef and cabbage lunch. It'll run, it's at the American Legion Hall on Veterans Road. It'll run from 12 to 3, $17 for adults, $12 for vets, $10 for kids, 7 to 16, and 6 and under will be free. So please come support the Legion. You can, do you know the email on that, Mr. Diana?
I do not.
And it's your wife's email.
You can make a
Conrad.
reservation by either telephone. It's on the website.
Yes.
Be 914-245-2280. You can speak to my wife there. She'll be taking the reservations. Or it's ddiana@gmail.com if you'd like.
Isn't there a number in there at the end? D Diana with a number?
203, yes. ddiana 203. I don't use that one. Yes, it's ddiana203@gmail.com. You had to do that to me, didn't you?
Well,
you know I'm in big trouble now?
I hate for you to give the wrong one.
All right.
No, you've done much worse than that. Much worse than forgetting an email. So, along with that, for those of you that have veterans in your family, if you do want to remember your veterans, we are almost at the completion time for the military tribute banners for the Sons of the American Legion. That's where you can have a 30 by 60 banner hanging in town from Memorial Day to Veterans Day with a picture of the veteran. There's a whole sign-up form on our website, which is sal1009ny.org. sal1009newyork.org. You want to order by April 1st, and that is $250 to have the banner hung. It's yours afterwards if you'd like. And then we're looking at a program at a reduced rate to rehang for the following year if you'd like that as well. But it's a really great way to honor and commemorate the heroes in our lives that have fought for our freedoms.
Hey, Ed, before you go further with that,
Yes.
do you want to tell them about the ways they can pay on that because they have the account set up now?
They can't pay by credit card or PayPal. You heard of Tom and Jerry. This is Tom and Eddie.
It's Tom and Eddie.
So you can pay via PayPal or credit card online. When you go through the list, it'll have it there, and you can even mail in a check to the Sons of the American Legion. Then 2 other meetings to talk about: our Veterans Advisory Board Also on March 18th, Wednesday the 18th, in room 16 at the Albert A. Capellini Community and Cultural Center. That's on the bottom floor. You enter through the Yorktown stage, go down the hall and to the left. We had our first meeting this past month, and I appreciate all the veterans who came out and all of the people who came to support. We had quite a few people in support positions, and we got some pretty good groundwork for where the committee wants to go and what the makeup is going to be, which is great. And a lot of people that will be able to help our vets in need when they are looking for different things. And the last one is a senior advisory meeting on March 20th, right here in the boardroom from 1 p.m. till about 3 p.m. I'm not sure who the guest speaker is this month. And that about covers my list.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman. Reports from our Highway Superintendent, Dave Paganelli.
Do I have to do stand-up?
No, you don't.
Okay.
You took care of that already.
Thank
There
you.
you go.
I'd like to thank our residents for reaching out to us, making us aware of the potholes that exist. We're really on top of that, pleased with it. I think it's important at this point to note that the traffic light at the intersection of Commerce and Veterans is not functioning. I was out there at 11 o'clock Saturday evening trying to reset it. Sunday morning, I was there from 10 to 2, waiting for the company to come. And for Sunday at double time and for Monday to come back again, because it only lasted 4 hours after they reset the entire controller, it was $2,000. So it averages out to about $700 a day, and it hasn't lasted more than 5 hours.
Wasn't working this morning.
No, it's not working. No, and it will not be working in the near future because it's 2 to 3 weeks. Yesterday, I ordered the part from the company that has our contract for the traffic lights, but it's a 2 to 3 week wait time. And I think it's a waste of taxpayer money to go out there and spend $800 a day, and it lasts 5 hours. If it lasted a couple of days, that's one thing. So just, be aware that light is not functioning. It's a 4-way stop, and, treat it appropriately. Coronavirus, not really a highway thing, but I had visited my doctor earlier, and he told me, apparently Purell and all this stuff is flying off the shelves. I did some research online. You can create your own hand sanitizer with isopropyl alcohol and aloe vera. So if you just go on, Google, homemade hand sanitizer, it works equally to Purell. I just completed 130 hours of assessing our roads. We are currently compiling that information. I will, with the intent of posting for the first time ever, I'm a little terrified. Posting a 5-year paving plan so that at least our residents who aren't getting paved this year don't have to wonder. So, I think that's good for the board. It gives you the opportunity to increase funding. Of course, I would throw that in.
Of course you throw that.
Certainly. But at least you'll see, how we can move forward with that.
Perfect. It gives us a plan.
That's pretty much it. So thank you.
Dave.
Actually, I want to throw one more thing out. I'm sorry. I just want to congratulate the police department on they did their big fundraiser for the Unity Tour that they do, the bike and motorcycle ride down to D.C. And it was a great turnout. They had it at the winery at St. George, which is, I think, changing their name to the restaurant at St. George.
Yeah.
They have a nice new menu there. But it was a really nice event, and I hope you guys did great there.
I wanna thank the superintendent of highway. When you go back and enter in a parking lot, the step height is deeper, and then at night you cannot see it because the reflected light, doesn't fit in the corner. And he sprayed. I thank you. He saved me every time I go over there. And
I don't
every
want you to
person
fall.
over there. Thank you. Really, very good job.
Wow.
This is
Excellent.
what makes our town safe.
Excellent.
Everywhere there is a pothole, please call. Who should call?
Him.
Yes.
You call the highway superintendent.
If you have a pothole, call us at 962-577-7881. Speak to Ann, and she'd be happy to take your information.
Anne's in the
And let me
audience
give you Dave's home number just in case.
And cell phone.
tonight. All right. Next up, we have our poet laureate, John McMullen. John.
Thank you, Supervisor. The 4% doesn't sound like much. 4% doesn't sound like much. It's, after all, only 4 cents on a dollar. In my town of 36,000, 4% is 1,440. Estimates tell us that 4% of the population will or may contract coronavirus. If that number holds, we are told that only 2% of that number actually dies. Let's see, that's 28.8 people, really 29, the people of our neighbors. We don't want to create a panic, so it is important not to throw out numbers that can inordinately drive alarmist concerns. On the other hand, the World Health Organization, as well as our local governments, are using numbers to alert us to real threats to our health. So it's up to us to keep coronavirus as a real health issue and not a political one. The estimate has gone down from 2% to 1.6, and that would be 23 people.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Presentations. We have some great presentations tonight. I want to invite Lulu Stavan to come to the podium. Lulu, how you doing tonight?
I'm well, thank you.
All right. If you could just do me a favor and just make sure you're speaking into that mic so everyone can hear you.
You can pull it forward.
You can pull it forward, too. Yep, it moves. Perfect. And Lulu's going to be talking about her Remember When project, which is highlighted over at the Jefferson Valley Mall, over on the second floor by the food court.
Yes.
Fantastic. Take it away, Lulu.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my presentation with you all. For some background, my name is Lulu Stavan, and I'm a junior at Staples High School in Westport, Connecticut. As a student journalist and an editor for my school's newspaper, and someone with an interest in psychology, I wanted to create a unique community service project that combined my two interests. This is where I came up with the idea for my project, Remember When. The project combined interviewing residents of Yorktown Heights and the surrounding area about their fondest memories of the Jefferson Valley Mall and collecting donations to fundraise for the Hudson Valley chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. Here are some images of the finished product. Near the food court in the mall, some of the best quotes that I collected over the 7 months are displayed on the wall next to the project's title, Remember When. Next slide, please. This is a quote from one of my very first interviews last July at one of the Sunset Markets at the mall. Above is a photo I found in the mall's archives of a fashion shoot from the early 90s, also in the mall. One of my most notable interviews throughout this whole process was with the mall's marketing director, Miss Heather Novak, who actually grew up in Yorktown Heights and grew up going to the mall. And she spoke about working her very first job at Camelot Music Store and visiting Dannigan's for brunch with her girlfriends every Sunday. This is a picture of the mall's weekly drumming circle called Daily Drum Beats. Another special interview that I was very lucky I got to have was with Mrs. Trissy Kushner, the president of Alliance for Safe Kids. And this is what she had to say about after watching a group of girls put on a successful fashion show at the mall and be inspired to pursue their goals after receiving an outpour of support from the community. This is an image of another Sunset Market back this past summer, kids playing with the bubbles in the bubble bus. So around here was where I opened my booth and started beginning my interviews for this project. Additionally, another interview that I'd like to highlight was with Miss Nancy Stingone, the executive director of the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce. And she fondly remembers taking her kids for lunch and to see a movie and having a family fun day at the mall. This next image is from last December in front of Dick's Sporting Goods, the New Year's Eve balloon drop.
Oh, that's so good. That's so cool.
And these last few images are from February 8th. We had a ribbon cutting and live streamed opening this exhibit to the public. Additionally, on this day, I held a memory marathon for which I was joined, Miss Green from the Alzheimer's Association and a few of the Ask volunteers, We held memory-related board games for people of all ages and asked them to donate to the Alzheimer's Association. And lastly, I'd like to thank Alexa, Heather, Vincent, Ron, and Jackie, as well as everyone else who supported and contributed to my project. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's great. It was that was the day we had the TikTok parade going. Was it
It's great.
over at the mall? They had 4,000 screaming kids, but
But you were first online, Supervisor, and I think you got up there with them and took a picture. I'm not sure.
I may have. But I got to tell you, as someone who grew up in town and spent many Friday nights at that mall, it was just such a cool project, and really enjoyed, especially Heather. I mean, Heather's memories, I think, relate very closely with my own. I think I applied for a job at the mall, but I never actually worked there.
That's so funny.
But it just brings back a lot of memories from Danigan's to the movie theater. Again, growing up here in town, that was your Friday night place, and it's just what you did and how you captured it, but also how you tied it to the Alzheimer's Association. I thought was so special, and our community is really grateful for your work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Lulu, how much did you end up raising? How much did you end up raising at the?
$265.
Oh, great!
That's really
Fantastic.
nice. That's
You know,
really nice.
I have my memories of the mall with my daughter growing up and taking her there, but it's right. But I don't. My memories are more like when at about 14 to 16 years
Didn't
old, where
want
it
to
was
near
like,
her.
can you like walk behind me 20 steps?
That's true.
And then at
That's
16, it
true.
was like, well, why don't you guys shop upstairs and you could watch me
That is
downstairs?
so true.
And I think
So
she
true.
still says that to you.
No, she's actually just moved out of the country.
What did I
Get
say?
away.
You had to get away from him.
Well, Lulu, we have a certificate of achievement that we do want to present you tonight. And again, thank you for your incredible efforts in highlighting a great piece of our community. So we're going to come present this to you. Thank you. Jenny, you want to take a quick picture?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lulu, why don't you come up here? We're going to get Councilman Roker and Councilman Patel and
Lulu,
we get our clerk.
Congratulations.
Why don't you guys right over here? Congratulations. Again. That's great. Oh, wait. We got to shift it. This might need up. There we go.
Thank you.
Okay.
see Matt in 20 years. There's going to be another person doing that, and you're going to go, oh, I remember that.
Yeah. All right. Next, I want to invite Captain Rick Davin of the Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps to the podium. I'm very excited to be recognizing. Let's give a round of applause. Our entire ambulance corps. Thank you. Captain, it's all yours.
Good evening. My name is Rick Davin. I'm the captain of the Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I'm joined here tonight by my line officers, First Lieutenant Ivan Cantu, Second Lieutenant Nick Cromarco, and Board Chairperson Tina Harback, as well as many of our other members seated in the audience. Just a little bit of background. Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps, also known as YVAC, is a not-for-profit membership organization that provides emergency medical service and has been serving the town for the past 57 years. In 1962, the Yorktown Kiwanis Club appointed a committee to organize a Yorktown Volunteer Ambulance Corps to supplement the one commercial ambulance serving the community. In 1963, with 27 members trained, Yorktown Ambulance Service was formed with a borrowed ambulance housed in a garage on Sawmill River Road.
Wow.
Later that year, a new ambulance was delivered and housed in a modified roadside market stand on Route 202 across from Springhurst Street, owned by the Yorktown School District. The Corps later purchased a half-acre site on the corner of Crampon Road and Loretta Street, and in 1972 moved into their new official headquarters. 20 years later, in 1992, an addition was added to the building to provide additional ambulance space and additional sleeping quarters for their on-duty members. YVAC has 3 New York State certified ambulances that provide service to the town 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. In 2019, WIVAC responded to 1,291 calls for assistance, of which 1,054 patients were transported for a total of 9,021 transport miles. All our members are volunteers. They come from diverse backgrounds, students, employed, and retirees. We currently have 28 New York State trained emergency medical technicians, EMTs, and 15 probationary members in various stages of training. Our EMTs are continuously trained in the newest techniques and procedures. Members are required to be on duty a minimum of 24 hours per month. When additional crews are needed, members respond on a pager-call basis from their home or work. We're always looking for new members over 18 that would like to volunteer and help others in the community. Applications are on our website at www.wivac.net. For those who are 14 to 18 years of age, we also have a youth group which currently has 35 members. These young members are certified in first aid and CPR and assist the Corps in various local activities and fundraising events. WIVAC maintains a loan closet with items that can be donated and borrowed, including walkers, crutches, and wheelchairs. The Corps does do CPR training as a community as well. This evening, I have the pleasure of recognizing 4 of our members who have recently reached membership milestones. All 4 of these members have served the Corps in various leadership positions throughout their membership. First, Ann Anderson is being recognized for 25 years of service tonight. In 2009, she completed 288 hours of riding duty and responded to 123 pager calls. Thank you, Ann. Henry Lang is being recognized for 35 years of service tonight. In 2019, Henry completed 416 hours of riding duty and responded to 174 pager calls. Thank you, Henry. Rich Cariello is being recognized tonight.
Hey, Rich. All right, Rich.
For 45 years of service.
Oh, my God.
5 years. Incredible.
In 2019, Rich completed 595 hours of riding duty and responded to 50 pager calls. Thank you, Rich.
Good job, Rich. Thank you.
Jeff Siegel is also being recognized for 45 years of service.
Yay, Jeff.
In 2019, Jeff completed 543 hours of riding duty and responded to 57 pager calls. Thank you, Jeff. And I do believe we've never had members who have had more than 45 years of service, active service, as these 2 gentlemen have. They joined when we allowed 10-year-olds in. That's why.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
There was no age limit.
3. We also have one additional member that the supervisor asked me to invite. One of our paramedics from Empress Medical Service, Bob Lockwood, is here tonight to receive an award, a life-saving award from the town. Bob recently responded on a call within town, was one of the first members on the scene before police, EMS, or anyone else, and had a gentleman which was pretty much in the last stages, and Bob worked on him tirelessly and got him back, and it was an anaphylaxis episode, and got him to the hospital and saved that individual.
Yeah.
So thank you.
God.
Lastly, our membership is honored to have 4 veterans as current members. You've talked about veterans tonight. Henry Lang is veteran, Rich Cariello, Louis Varela, who's not here tonight, and myself, 4 veterans with the Corps. This year's National EMS Week is celebrated May 17th through the 23rd. EMS Week brings together local communities and medical personnel to honor the dedication of those who provide the day-to-day life-saving services of medicine's front line. I want to thank the supervisor and the board for their time this evening, as well as our members for their dedication and commitment to the town of Yorktown. Thank you very much.
We're grateful to you.
I gotta say something.
Don't go anywhere just yet, Captain.
Rich, sometimes, we are not happy, right? Each other, right? Because when the army lose, you are happy. Anyway, I want to thank you for the entire ambulance corps. My son was there, Henry. He always talked about you, everybody, really. And then not long ago, you celebrated 50 years service, Right. It's really, it is not what you build. It's not what you bought, but what you build that matters, really. You have given this community tremendous, support 24/7, and you don't look the clock and his volunteering is a tremendous value provided to the society. So we all congratulate you and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
We are just grateful for what you do every day, each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
I agree. Thank you folks so much for everything you do. I've had personal encounters with many of you, but as a police officer, the 4 letters that I always like to hear was YVAC en route. And I'm sure our police officer in the back will back me up on that.
Councilman Lachman?
Yeah, well, you guys do a phenomenal job. I don't know how much more you could say. You're at all the events in town. You help us with the Lions concerts. People dedicating their time for the community. I think that's what makes Yorktown so great, and it's great people like you all that do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
And I just wanted to add just quickly, from my standpoint, I was lucky enough, well, unfortunately, my family needed you just a few weeks ago. And you guys were there in a split second and just really did an amazing job keeping me calm, keeping my wife calm, which is a lot harder than you think. And but the service you give to our community is invaluable. And I just want to say it and emphasize one more time. 100% volunteer. 100% volunteer, folks. So again, on behalf of the entire community, we really want to thank all of you for your incredible service to this community. I don't want you to ever think that it goes unnoticed, because it doesn't. You are an intricate part of this community who does so much for our neighbors and for our families when we need you the most. And so I can just tell you on behalf of my family, thank you. Thank you for always being there for us, and we know that we can always count on you. Thank you. We have some certificates that we'd like to pass out, and I think, actually, before I do that, Highway Superintendent Paganelli, do you have a presentation yourself?
I do.
Ooh.
Well, they weren't for you. No. I personally have, as Matt, I've had 3 experiences with the ambulance corps, not the last of which was last May when I fell off a truck. And and then my wife and myself over the years. And, I can't stress enough how professional and how calming and, it's just, not that ever being in an ambulance is a great experience, but, it was fabulous. And we really, really appreciate it. So this is for my executive assistant, Ann.
Yay.
Before we let you go, I did have someone ask to speak. I want to invite Sergio Esposito. You have Bob Lockwood here, and Sergio called me over the weekend and said, "You'll never believe what just happened to a friend of mine. He had this episode, and if it wasn't for YVAC, he wouldn't be here anymore. And that was because of you and the amazing job you did." And so Sergio just asked to come up and just say a few quick words on behalf of him and his and your friend.
So I'll give you the brief version of him telling me the story. He went into anaphylactic shock, and the ambulance. His wife called the ambulance corps. You guys showed up, right? And that's all he remembers. And then he woke up in the hospital, and the doctor told him, "You should thank the paramedic, because if it wasn't for him being so talented, you would not be here today."
Wow.
And so, we go around, we drive past you guys, and, You know, sort of like the Yorktown Fire Department. You know, they're there, but you don't really realize how much they really do. And that really, it's very real. And you guys are awesome. All right, I don't want to take away from your moment.
Thank you again for all you do for our community. And as one piece of housekeeping, I attended your membership meeting, and you raised an issue regarding the left coming off of Loretta Road. And so Highway Superintendent Paganelli and I have sent DOT a letter requesting their assistance. And so we will obviously communicate to you back what that response is. But again, thank you for all you do for our community. We'd like to present these to you and have the board take a photo with you. Thank you. Come on up.
Love those flowers.
I want you to speak with everyone.
All right, everyone listen to Jeff. Congratulations.
Where do you want to sneak in?
45 years.
I was 3 years old when I joined.
Oh, okay, I thought so. 45 years?
Where's Tina? Come on up.
Oh, okay. Greg, how you doing?
Up and down.
Double it up.
Come on in. Come on in, Rick. Where's
Yeah, Bob, go up front. You're a star.
guys, Bobby, good? Alice, you all right?
I'm here, I'm good, I'm good.
Squished together.
I'm sorry.
All right, here you go. Thank you again. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys were at my son's Eagle ceremony. You were there too.
Okay.
It's really wonderful.
Still have much to do.
Like this, you know.
Yes.
They don't look at the time and just come.
I do want to point out that we do have a clock in the back. That helps.
Oh, that's right.
Considerably. Okay.
And it's big.
Personnel. It is. We can see it. Personnel. We're going to propose 2 resolutions. The first, reinstating Richard Falcone to the title of Assistant Building Inspector in the Building Department. Also appointing Brittany O'Neill to Office Assistant, Automated Systems in the Building Department. I know our Building Inspector is here. If John, if you want to bring Mr. Falcone and Ms. O'Neill up.
We want to pass it first? Or?
Sure. You want to make a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to Yorktown. Welcome back to Yorktown.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great.
Right to the podium, please. John, why don't you introduce everybody for us?
John,
This is Brittany O'Neill. I had the pleasure of working with her.
Talk into the mic, please.
I had the pleasure of working with her in the town of Mamaroneck, and I thought she would be a great asset to the town of Yorktown, and stole her away. So
All right.
brought her in. And Richard Falcone has been a contractor in this town for a very long time. He's helped us through a crisis in the building department, and we also have the pleasure of having him to join our team and move the department forward.
We're very excited. We're very excited.
Very
You want to say
excited.
any words?
I'm good. I'm very happy.
step up to the
Step up
mic.
right up.
Rick.
Now you got to say a
Hey,
few
you got
words.
it.
You
You got
took
to
the
say a
bait.
few words. You got to say it into the mic.
I'm just very happy to help the residents of Yorktown since I am a resident. I
Awesome.
feel I can
That's
help
great.
everybody out
That's
a lot.
great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Rick.
Looking forward to it.
Same here.
Thank you very much.
That's all you want to say, Brittany?
Brittany.
All right.
You got to. No, I'm excited. I'm excited for a change. I was in the town of Mamaroneck originally. I've been in Scarsville for the last 2 years. I feel like I've learned a lot about bringing the building departments up to speed with Laserfiche and Municity and different aspects. Yes, Municity 5. We're interested in that. And a lot of the
Laserfiche.
Yeah.
Laserfiche.
Oh,
That's
yes.
where it's at.
Yeah, the scanning and all that process. So I'm excited.
You just
to.
made the clerk very, very happy. Let me tell you.
I like Laserfiche. I have fun with that. So I'm
Excellent.
interested in getting on board with all of that.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Looking forward
Welcome
to
to
it.
Yorktown.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Isn't that great?
Very exciting for our town. Next, we have courtesy of the floor. Anyone for courtesy of the floor?
Going once? Oh, there we go.
And as a reminder, it's 3 minutes for courtesy of the floor. Diana will have the timer.
Good evening, Susan Siegel. At last week's town board meeting, the chairman of the ethics board explained why the board denied a complaint that involved the revolving door clause of the ethics code. He gave two reasons. One, the law wasn't clear, and two, the person said he had no conflict of interest. As the person who filed the complaint, I'd like to clarify some very gross misrepresentations. To put it simply, the problem wasn't with the law, it was how the members of the ethics board chose to interpret the law, also how it investigated the complaint. The chairman of the board called the law, quote, incoherent, close quote, and said it wasn't clear what constituted a conflict of interest. An amazing statement, as the law couldn't be any clearer. It states, quote, it shall be a presumptive conflict of interest for any former town official within 1 year after leaving office to represent another person or corporation before any town body, close quote. And the complaint very clearly set out the conflict of interest. A former town official appeared before the planning board on behalf of a developer less than a year after he left office. The former official disputed the intent of a town board resolution that he had voted for when he was a member of the town board. The resolution imposed a future cost on the developer, a cost the developer now wanted to avoid. What didn't the ethics board understand? Then there's the question of how the complaint was investigated. The chairman stated that the person who was the subject of the complaint, quote, eloquently, close quote, explained to the board why there was no conflict of interest. Does a parent always believe a child when the child denies having done something wrong? Did the board interview any other people? Did it review any of the relevant documents? The ethics board decision may be a done deal, but here's a postscript to the incident that I don't think anyone knows about. At the same time my complaint was filed with the ethics board, another person filed a complaint about the same incident with the grievance committee of the 9th Judicial District. The complaint alleged a violation of the New York State Bar Association's rules of professional conduct that state, quote, a lawyer who has formally served as a public officer or employee of the government shall not represent a client in connection with a matter in which the lawyer participated personally and substantially as a public officer or employee, close quote. After an investigation, the grievance committee voted to censor the attorney. Unlike Yorktown's ethics board, the grievance committee apparently had no problem understanding the meaning of a simple sentence or the lawyer's actions. Yes, the ethics law needs to be changed, but let's be realistic and honest. Words are meaningless unless and until we have an ethics board that is willing to make difficult decisions and establish and follow meaningful and transparent procedures for investigating complaints.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Next.
Ed Safone, living here 50 years. Say something? Okay, let me first congratulate Vishnu Patel. He's a grandfather of twins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes.
Mazel tov.
I just hope they speak a little better English, in case they can. As long as you speak slow, everything is fine. Second thing, Dave Paganelli. My wife sent you an email about my street and stuff. It's my wife. She put Issa phone. So I'll just let you know it's not me. It might even show up. It's my wife. Okay. Now, next question. Now, Umbridge is the gas line company.
Enbridge.
Right? Enbridge. Okay, about a year ago, in 2019, they gave the town $350,000 a month. My question is, are they still giving you $350,000? Okay, because this last budget, I'm sure there was a lot of things why you only had 0.153. It's always the revenue comes in higher, the spending is lower, and you got money from all over the place. Okay, so answer that question. It's gone now?
Well, I'll answer it at the end.
Yeah,
Continue,
well,
please.
at the end. That's
Yep.
all. Okay. And there was one other thing I can only remember. Oh, the ambulance corps. I don't know which guys take me to the hospital all the time. Because you're sitting there, you're laying there looking at the ceiling. And I go in, hey, stay awake. So, where am I? Where am I? But anyway, at least 4 times in the last 4 or 5 years. And that was my last thing. So thank you to those guys.
God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Safone.
Thank you.
Next.
So serious. Next. Dan Strauss, 53-year resident, Woodfield Court. We've been talking about lame ducks. I'm going to talk about sitting ducks. About 2 years ago, Mr. Diane, if I'm not mistaken, you said that the town board was sitting ducks. And a couple of months later, you have a police officer here at meetings, which is fine. People who walk the track in Yorktown are still sitting ducks. Seniors who walk the track, disabled people, they're still sitting ducks. I've been talking about it for 4 years. There is no plan. There is no quality of life plan in the town of Yorktown. I spoke to you, Ms. Roker.
Yeah.
I spoke to Mr. Gilbert, and it didn't go anywhere. As you say, it fell off the plate. I love that one. So, the other day, you saw me out on the road, Mr. Slater.
I did.
And you said that we should start paying you. And my reply, well, I wouldn't say anything other than that. My reply was, you'll never be paying me. But then I rethought that. So the compensation that I could get would be that you put into place a quality of life plan that I talked to you about. And you put it in place in its entirety, which we didn't get to in a half hour of a rush discussion, which I understand you're a busy person. So again, that could be or would be my compensation if you move forward with a plan so that there are not so many sitting ducks in the town of Yorktown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss. Next.
Good evening, everybody. Sergio Esposito, Comprehensive Computers, and the president of the Yorktown Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to bring up a couple of things about our, we are having our Spring Fest on April 25th, and I needed to get you guys on your work session agenda to get town approval. It's usually a co-sponsored town event and the Yorktown Chamber. So what we're going to need is authorization for an alcohol permit, just like we do at the street fair. And we're going to need a street closing permit. And then, secondly, well, I wanted to also get on the work session agenda regarding the proposed. We've been going back and forth, Alice. We've been going back and forth. The proposed. I'm going to say TV show, but it's going to go beyond just TV and the public access channel to finalize authorization for that, where we will be showcasing any and all assets that the town has in order to promote the town. And this will not only be on the public access channel, but it will also be shared on social media, through the chamber, and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So those are basically what we're looking at. And I think we should probably make it official that it's a co-sponsored town event. I don't know if you need that on the work session.
We can put that in the resolution once we give final.
Right. So it was always the case, but
let's make it official.
All right.
No problem. We're happy to support.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sergio.
Appreciate it.
We'll address the rest. Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? Anyone else for courtesy of the floor? I'll make a motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I wanted to talk. So, Mr. Safone's question: Enbridge is no longer paying the $350,000 a month. That concluded, I believe, refresh my memory. I think it was October.
What was the date?
So we had 10 months of $350,000 from January to October, and that no longer is occurring. So to answer your question there, Sergio, in regards to your request, we'll put both in the work set. Where did Sergio go? We'll put both. Thank you. We'll put both in the work session for next week. No problem with those. I would just ask that you work with the clerk on the permitting as well.
The issue came up because the police chief wanted to make sure the town board approved
Yep.
it because of the closing of the street.
Correct. Yeah. This is mostly because of the closing of the streets.
Mhm.
So we'll have a conversation at the work session next week. Mr. Strauss, we should pay you. You know, I'm serious. Every time I drive down someplace in town, I see you hard at work, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And I recognize the importance of quality of life, and I do want to share. I got this list, just so you know you're not alone. There has been a concerted effort from our refuse and recycling crew on litter cleanups. They have done McDonald Road. This is just for the month of February, by the way, just for the last month. McDonald Road, Spring Valley Road, Dell Avenue, Gomer Street from Alden to Chelsea Park, Gomer Street from the school to Curry Street from Campbell to Willow Park, New Road, Lee Boulevard, Hill Boulevard, Underhill Road, Baldwin Road, the commuter lot off of Route 6 near the soon-to-be Par 3 golf course, Mohansick Avenue, Lockwood Road, Foothill Street, Old Crampon Road, Lexington Avenue, Catherine Street, Field Street, Jacob Road, Stony Street, and Seven Bridges Road. That's where the crews were deployed and have. I mean, Seven Bridges Road. I drove past our crews, and he was actually in the woods at one point, cleaning up some of the garbage there. Additionally, areas where they cleaned up dump sites was Dell Avenue, Indian Hill Road, Lockwood Road, and Aqueduct Road. I believe it was Lockwood that Kim had told us at our department head meeting. I think they took 41 tires out of Lockwood as a dump site. So I completely understand what you're saying, but I can also share with you that the staff and the town, I think, is making a really concerted effort. Also, the other thing that you've brought up in the past are the fire lane parking, and now I receive weekly reports from our code enforcer about violations that they issue for fire lane violations, for parking in fire lanes. So we are taking their great suggestions, and if I could ask Jenna before everyone leaves tonight, if you can just grab Mr. Strauss and let's get a follow-up meeting together in my office. That's not 30 minutes and rushed, so we can continue that conversation.
I had the pleasure of sitting with Dan last year and talking to him, and I think some of his ideas are good ideas in terms of sitting ducks walking at the track. I'm not certain that we could ever tell you that we will have a cop standing there watching the people as they walk by. It's part of one of the zones that are patrolled, but I understand, and I would like for the people who live here to hear some of the other ideas you have, because you know what, they were really good ideas. The question becomes are we able
Implementation.
to do them?
But at the others, again, we talked about this earlier, and I know Margaret Gaspering was here. I think she stepped out. We have been doing safety assessments for all of our town facilities and buildings,
Yes.
Including specifically security cameras. And there's no doubt that the Albert A. Capellini Cultural and Community Center, I still call it
Community
the
and
sixth grade,
Cultural Center.
whatever. That's why I call it the sixth grade school.
Yep.
Still call it the YCC.
You're actually too young to remember it being the sixth grade school.
No, I'm not. Well, yes, but I played soccer at the sixth grade
grade
school
school.
growing up.
The
So
best
anyway,
of
the
times.
sixth grade school and having cameras there, we hear it from our seniors. We hear it from our staff at the nutrition center. We hear it. I was with Adele up in the museum today. So those are all things that, and again, Sergeant Scatola from the police department and Chief Noble have done the walkthrough. We are anticipating a report from them on all of our town facilities in the not-too-distant future, so then the board can make the necessary decisions and invest the necessary dollars to make sure that people, when they use our town facilities, feel safe, but also that our town employees feel safe. And so those are of course, forefront on our mind, and we're trying to take the necessary steps to address it.
Yeah, and also to build on what Councilwoman Roker said, not only do the police patrol there regularly, but whenever there's an event, there's increased police traffic. for the concerts, for the Relay for Life, any events that are going on, you will always see an increased presence, which we do appreciate as well.
Absolutely. Any other comments?
Yeah,
courtesy of the floor?
I'd like to comment a little bit about the whole ethics board case, and then talking about the grievance case, which I think was a little strange that it didn't come out, that the fact that, from what I remember, the whole grievance case was dismissed as being without merit. So to say that it was
No comments, please.
to say that it was, that it's still there, or that it came back. The question that we had in our ethics board, where they had trouble explaining, as was written in the report, is they said they could not see a conflict against a town when the town was a beneficiary of the sewers. But one of the major points is that if any one of us as a citizen wants to be represented by whoever we choose to be represented by, we have that legal right. And in particular, it would be unjust for a town to say, well, we have regulations and we know you want so-and-so to represent you, but we don't want him to represent you. So it actually is a violation of our rights for legal representation. And that, I just, and that's what they saw, and that's what I read in that.
If it's in a lawyer's code of ethics, doesn't that count?
Well, if the judicial board dismissed it as being a complaint
I
without
don't
merit.
think you're talking the same complaint, Ed. I think she's talking about a very separate complaint.
I think that I am, but I'll look into it, because I remember there were two complaints put in, one by Susan, one by someone else. And from what I remember, both were dismissed.
So may I make a complaint? There was ethic complaints against me. This is the only complaint I have given in 70th and year and half almost, okay? And I bring my own lawyer, and I decided not to, I discuss it, okay? Otherwise, I bring the really, I don't want to say any words now, okay? The ethics, they do not want to have any kind of a ethics board to be tell to the public. Why don't you make a strong ethics board, and then you don't have to worry about it? I didn't want to have ethics really board. They don't want to have a decision. Stops everything here. Then why you want to have ethics board? This is why 11 years ago, 11 years, I went to the association of the town, and 10 years I talked to the same guy and the same lawyer here. We pay him $5,000. He agreed exactly what I said, and then nobody cares over here, That's why we should have a really strong ethics law. Otherwise, get rid of it. We don't need ethics law.
Actually, I think we all agree, and that's why Supervisor Slater wants our ethics code looked at and has asked for that.
And also, in all fairness to the ethics board, I understand it's about interpretation, but they are clearly stating that they have concerns and they want enhancements to the law. And so they are going to be providing those proposed enhancements to the board to make it more functionable, more transparent, and do what it's intended to do, which is hold people accountable.
Yes.
So we eagerly await those revisions and those proposed revisions, and then the board will deliberate and decide on how we want to move forward.
One of the things that I think that we should not do as a board is begin to comment on ethics decisions that we have not been asked to do anything on. They're a board, and we may disagree with what they do, and there may be people who may disagree with what they say or what they do. But I think as a town board, we have to decide, are they doing what we want them to do, or are they not doing what we want them to do?
But the issue that you raise, as has been explained to me from multiple people who've been involved with the ethics board, is really just a flaw in the process. Because once you get to a point where the ethics board says there's no finding, you're right. The law does not dictate next steps for the board.
Correct.
And I don't frankly believe that's right, because someone.
I totally agree with you.
Someone is in a sense being publicly admonished by the perception of an ethics complaint being filed against them.
Totally agree.
And if the ethics board then turns around and says there's no finding, we as a board then, the way that it's currently stipulated within the law, don't have the remedy at our disposal to essentially state the fact that there was no finding in this complaint by the ethics board, and so it's null and void. And so you're really leaving someone out to hanging someone out to dry because we're not allowed or have the permission, according to the law, to take that final step and bring closure to these matters. And I think that's unfair.
But my definition of ethics, if you have not done something wrong, you don't have to worry. And if you have done something wrong, you don't have any right to worry. So why are you worried?
You still have rights.
No.
And its interpretation as to what is wrong, and the fact that us not saying anything. See, I agree with Matt. If someone's going to go up there and continue to stump on the soapbox about it, I think it's our obligation to put out the findings. And to, you know what, it's not right for anyone to be left high and dry, and for us to sit here silent and let someone run the narrative on however they want to run it.
See, I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think you're listening to me. What I'm saying, well, first of all, the ethics code is just like any other part of the code.
Right.
It needs adjustments from time to
Absolutely.
time.
Right.
This was one of the first times that we ever had a workable ethics code. I think that, okay, we now have run into problems, so we are going to change it. I don't
think it's change it. It's enhance it.
We're going to enhance it, amend it to where
make it workable.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just saying that one of the reasons that I tend to want to stay back from an issue that's not before us is that you kind of do a disservice to that board that was looking at it.
Well, but I think also the fact that we're unable to bring closure to the case does a disservice to the board.
Is that what we want to do?
But also, the law, frankly, is just silent. It doesn't say that it doesn't say one way or the other. It doesn't tell us that we, frankly, can't, but it also doesn't tell us that we can. And there's interpretation that says, frankly, if the ethics board says there's no finding in a case, you can do whatever you want.
I think
because it doesn't dictate it.
I think the code was done back in 2010. Am I correct? Again, there was no history of having an ethics code, although there have been one in the book. So I think that we've learned in the past 9 years.
100%.
And now we'll hopefully take the appropriate actions.
100%. That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and the only thing I get concerned about is when it becomes political. That bothers me.
That's a big problem.
That bothers me a lot.
Because depending on what kind of board here and what ethics board over there. Anyway, may I say something to Mr. Strauss? Really, you make so many people happy. Today somebody asked me your name and I told I have a leaky memory, and as soon as you left I remember your name. But one thing I want to really thank you is there was a Christmas tree at the DeVito Park over there. Myself, Aldo, and Mr. Sasier, we planted that tree, and somebody wanted to cut down. And in order to cut down and make it look bad, nobody cut the weed. I spent a lot of time, and you, my friend, and I wrapped, what do you call that? The little metal string, and nobody go on top of that, and not a single branch was fallen in last 3 years, okay? And a miracle gold SE, 3 pound I put it in over 5 years, okay? That tree is green. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay?
He does a great
Thank
job.
you very
Any
much.
other
Really
comments
nice.
from the
Yeah.
board from courtesy of the floor?
No, I think.
Okay, then we will be moving on to, we have a public hearing. I'm going to ask the clerk if she could state for the record that it was properly noticed.
She's showing it.
Thank you.
Oh,
She reads my mind. It's perfect. This is a proposed local law to amend Chapter 275 of the Code of the Town of Yorktown entitled Vehicles and Traffic by adding full stops at multiple locations. I will read, just for clarity, I can also read the the
Locations?
or actually, Dave, do you want to?
Sure. Well, let me first say that I'm not really that enamored of putting up more signs. I'd like to just let our residents know that when you exit a road onto a main road and you're not going across, you can either go left or right. There is the automatic presumption that you stop. If I had to put a stop sign at every single road, we start to look like Central Avenue. So that being said, the way the genesis of this works is someone brings one of these complaints or suggestions to the Traffic Safety Committee, which consists of myself, Councilman Diana, and Officer Robert Rohr. Okay, we sit down, we go out, we discuss it, we go out and look at the locations, and we make a determination. These are the ones that are making it to a public hearing. There were numerous ones that actually didn't make it, particularly a large number of speed bumps, which I'm not at all enamored of. So that being said, now that I've qualified my opinion, there is a request for stop signs on East Main Street at the intersection of Stony Street. Now, we realize this will probably be one of the ones that people are very concerned about. We've received some communication regarding this. This is a stopgap situation. We are working on putting a traffic light there. We understand that there will be backups in traffic, particularly when school is getting out, school is going in, but the idea is to acclimate people to the fact that there's a stop sign there. Tom, do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, we're in the process now because just putting up the end result is we want a traffic light there at the end of Stony Street and East Main Street. There's land acquisition that has to be done. There's different sidewalk cuts and so on that have to be done at that particular intersection. So it's not something that happens overnight. As to Supervisor, Highway Superintendent Pagnelli's point, we have to acclimate the people stopping there. And then in the near future, we want to put a traffic light there. It's not going to be stop signs forever. It's basically just an interim thing until we can get the stop light put up at that location.
Okay. Second is, is East Main Street at the northwest corner of the intersection with 132. Those of you from the area, I'm not throwing out a commercial blurb here, but it is right in front of Spirelli Electric as you're coming westbound on East Main Street with the liquor store and the funeral parlor on your left. Yeah. And there's a point there where there's a lot of traffic going on. People are coming eastbound on East Main Street. They're going down 132. They're coming up East Main. So in the interest of making that a safer intersection, right there will be a flashing stop sign so that people will stop, and it will definitely make that particular intersection safer. I'm 100% in agreement with that.
That's good.
Also, if I may,
yes.
In conjunction with that, there's also going to be some lane delineation put into effect there. If you look back to 2007 on Google Earth, you'll see where there actually was a swoop, so to speak, that cars actually had to face almost where Spirelli Electric was as you came down 132.
Was it a swoop or a swoosh?
It may have been a swoosh, Dave, but a swoop, swoosh. It was a swoop? Okay. And there was another bit of striping and lane delineation as you came. That would be the eastbound on East Main Street. So when either East Main Street was paved or 132 was paved or both, they were eliminated for no other reason that they were done. Right. They were never repainted. They're going to be repainted also. So it'll be a clearer, more delineated roadway.
Can I add something else to that?
That's okay. That's good.
Dave, that intersection, somebody always put very large vehicle. Now you can't even see which way the traffic is coming from the funeral place or I mean.
Well,
so
if
you
the
should
vehicle
have-
is on private property, which I
But
think
it-
that's what you're referring to,
Yeah.
that's sort of beyond our control. What
no,
we
but
have
can
is
we
control
have
of the.
some kind of public like goes all the time in a liquor store? Maybe smaller vehicle, or if it's there whole day, maybe they can park little bit something. I mean,
I'm not of the mindset to tell people what they can drive.
That's kind of why the swoop or swoosh is being installed.
Do you want to continue with the other? With the,
I'd like to.
Yeah. Why don't
Yes.
you continue, please?
All right. Mark Road at the southwest west corner of the intersection with White Hill. This is a prime example of a location that shouldn't require a stop sign. There's no way you can make a right or left onto White Hill off of Mark Road without
Yeah.
coming to a dead stop.
stop.
But
right.
the residents in the area seem to think it'll be beneficial, so it doesn't do any harm other than, sign litter. So, Mohansick Avenue, what we refer to as the service road, not the main road, the road that runs parallel to the main road. Okay, at most of the intersections, at Chris, Leland, Park, at most of the intersections, there are two sets of stop signs as you're coming towards Mohansick, as well as sets of stop signs on the southern and the northern end of each of the intersections. There were a couple that were missing them, so this came to our attention. So these were two that, would complete the traffic safety program for that area. Sherry Drive at the southwest corner with Ellen Lane. This came about due to a school bus stop existing in that location. Apparently, there have been some issues there in the past.
Yes.
We don't see a problem with that. Winona Trail at the southwest corner of the intersection with Dale Street. Again, sort of an unregulated, as you're coming down Mohansick Avenue with the speed bumps and you're making a left on Dale, people are coming out of Winona, who's going straight, who's going left, who's going right. So we think this will be a good thing. And similar scenario at Wren Place at the southwest corner of the intersection with Suncrest. A very wide. The problem we have in a lot of locations, and the reason for some of these signs is a lot of these are not really delineated correctly. So these are wide, wide mouth turns, which creates a problem. Who's stopping, who's going? You've got a bunch of roads intersecting.
Correct.
So, all of these I'm in agreement with. So, if we have anyone that would like to speak to it, please come up.
We're going to just ask that you keep your comments focused on. Thank you.
Jay Copstein, one quick question, Dave. Can we put pavement marking stop lines on at the same time where
Yes.
they're appropriate? Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah, actually, I have a list of pavement stop bars that we're doing this year because even now where you live, at the bottom of Ridge Street, as you're coming down Ridge Street to that stop sign, I want a stop bar there. It's amazing, but it does actually. Yeah. It's a great idea, and we are planning on doing quite a few of them this year.
Next.
Jerry Schwab. It was always my understanding that when you put a stop sign, you put it on the main road as opposed to the little, no, you don't put it on the main road. You put it, so which is the main road, East Main Street or Stony Street?
East Main Street is the main street, but
It's the
Stony
main
Street already
street.
has one. There's no law that says you can't put stop signs on a main road.
So you're not going to put it on Stony Street, you're putting it on
There
Main
is one
Street?
on Stony Street already. Yeah.
So you're making
So the
it
problem
a
is-
three-way stop?
Pardon me?
You're making it a three-way stop then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, Mr. McMullen.
To both Tom and to Dave about the corner of Perry Street and East Main Street, where there's people coming off 6N onto East Main Street to beat the lights going 45 miles an hour. There's been, I believe, you lost a friend there, Tom, didn't you?
Yes.
And there's got to be some solution for that.
I think one of the most important things that whoever said it is that when you get to an intersection where you got to go right or left, you're supposed to stop. I don't see people doing that in Yorktown. And that's a
Anyway.
problem. We get it, and I think that
I don't see them stopping at the stop signs where I live.
I agree
They come
with
right
you.
up the road and just. boom.
Is there anything going on with that, Tom?
Not at this point in time. But
We do have a public safety meeting
Yeah.
next week, and we'll bring that up at that public
Perfect.
safety meeting.
That's the
But the problem honestly you have there is, as you said, it's people coming off of 6N, coming around that blind corner to where Perry is. It's a blind corner, and the problem is it's very difficult to put a stop sign on a blind corner like that because of the way that mound comes out towards the roadway there. You're familiar with it because you own part of it. As we discussed, that creates a problem because you could end up causing more accidents by putting a stop sign on a blind corner. But it's certainly worth talking to our police officer that works with us who gives us a lot of insight into this.
We'll make sure the Public Safety Committee
thought
takes
we
it up at
looked
their
at it
next
last
meeting.
year and
Thank you,
Rob
John.
said no.
Appreciate it. Next.
Good evening, Kevin Burns at Dunwoody Court. I'm the evening monitor at Lakeland High School. Tom, you've seen me out there stopping traffic for the buses. I just want to say I'm totally in support of all of them on East Main Street. You have a lot of inexperienced drivers, and I think they need stop signs to slow them down. A lot of inexperienced drivers, including my own 16-year-old daughter, who just got her license. So
bring in your
that's why
small
I'm a
dogs and
little
children.
Yeah. Thank you.
Actually, that location for you, we have a $70,000 grant that we have been trying to implement for quite some time. As a matter of fact, Supervisor Slater, myself, and the town planner went up to meet with the DOT, and just recently, Supervisor Slater has reached out to them for clarity, particularly on 132 by Copper Beach Middle School,
Right.
but also, the blinking light there
Yeah.
in front of
Looking right
It's the
for Copper
street,
Beach?
yeah.
no, the one on East Main Street in front of the
School, yeah.
In front of the,
Seton
The
Church?
education building.
the admin building?
no, down further.
By Seton, you
So
talking
the condos that are right before Acme.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
What'd you say?
So
The other side of Seton.
there is going to be a sign, a flashing sign that says your speed and slow down. The
Right.
problem we have
good.
down on
Oh, that's
132,
great.
you were a
That's
police officer,
great.
so you know.
Right.
On 132 being a state road, they will not allow us to have to slow down. It'll just be the flashing your speed sign. So,
That's
but
even better.
we're going to get 4 of those, so that should help a lot.
That would help me out a lot.
Yes,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Winwood
that-
Oaks.
that
Thank
is
you.
the
Winwood
best.
Oaks, yes,
Winwood
thank you. Alzheimer's is the son of a gun, I'm telling you. But you're always
Any
meeting
other
new people.
any other public comment?
I'm constantly meeting.
Any
Motion to
other-
close.
We have a motion to close. I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. When do we adopt the law?
I'm just going to leave it to the. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I do want to say for the record, I did receive 2 emails. One from a Mr. and Mrs. Brown, and a Mr. and Mrs. DeVito opposing the stop signs at
Where?
East Main and Stony.
But if I recall correctly, I think I received those same emails. I think part of the concern was that it was going to be a permanent solution.
Correct. Well, I think the Browns were concerned that it was a
Right.
permanent solution, and I communicate with them as well that this is to your point,
A
temporary
temporary.
until we do have the street light installed.
I spoke to Ken personally about it. He said, yeah, that's a good idea. It's a stopgap measure until we get the traffic light installed there.
And
I'm-
most of the people I've spoken to are very happy that we're trying to
Slowing down.
slow down the traffic.
I'm comfortable if we want to move and make a motion.
Motion.
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Great. Again, we also have a second public hearing, proposed local law to amend Chapter 275 entitled Vehicles and Traffic by adding a no parking zone at Kear Street for 80 feet in a westerly direction from the northeast corner of the intersection with Commerce Street. And I want to, again, the clerk is showing for the record that it was properly noticed. Thank you for that. And we will
Discuss.
you wanna
Okay.
discuss, and then we'll open it up for a public hearing.
This is on the corner of Kear Street at the intersection of Commerce and Underhill. From the corner to the first cut on Kear Street into the Shell Station. I'd like not to mention the Shell Station or anything like that because 50 years from now it might not be there and nobody will know what we're talking about. That's why we indicate where it is geographically. What happens often is someone parks in that first space, run in here, run in there. And in addition to which, you have someone that parks a big F-150 Super Duty, long, that with a trailer hitch on it, that's literally halfway into the lane. So you cannot possibly get any traffic through there going in 2 directions. Not the least of which is that is the access and egress point for all the UPS traffic. All right, that comes through there. They don't go up Underhill. That is, I think that's a designated New York State byway or something to that effect. So just to eliminate that one space to be able to have people make those turns more safely and be able to come out and make the turns onto either Underhill or Commerce more safely. So that's that. And if anyone would like to speak to that, now would be the time.
Make a motion, open public.
So moved.
Second.
You know, I've always felt that area.
Please.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. You want to finish your comments before Jerry starts?
Yeah, I've always felt that area is so that street is so narrow, and the fact that you have parking seemingly on both sides of the street.
Well, I believe, and I actually want to look this up. I believe when you guys approved that building on Keir Street.
I wasn't here.
Well, whomever, maybe I was here then. Maybe I was here then. But I recall at the time we had we scrubbed that line, that double yellow line, moved it about 1 3/4 feet over towards the
other side,
southern side of the street, and created those parking spaces. I believe that in the original site plan, and I could be wrong, I believe in the original site plan, it was then to restrict the parking on the other side of the street, because there's no way that was a capability to park on both sides. And that's why no parking spaces on the other side were ever striped. So that's something on my honey-do list that I want to find out.
Jay Copstein gave me some history on Keir Street, and hopefully after Jerry talks, you'll tell him about what you found out.
Jerry?
I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this. However, if there's no enforcement of these parking regulations, then you're wasting your time. And I bring that up because almost 2 years ago, I came to the board for no parking, no standing on Rochambeau. And it has never been enforced. There are people still parking there. It's still dangerous. And so you can pass all the laws you want, but if nobody enforces them, it's just a waste of time.
Thank you. Any other comments? Public comment? Mr. Strauss?
Okay, so I'm going to use that as a segue. What I had mentioned before, quality of life is enforcement. And it does not mean that you have to have a police officer everywhere at all times. It has to mean that people think there is a police officer or a law enforcement officer around every corner. To your point, you say straight out, the people don't stop. Mr. Paganelli says they don't stop. Correct. They hang U-turns in the middle of Yorktown. So that's what the quality of life plan is meant to do, is to change this. What's the word you used?
I'm not sure.
You don't remember the word when we were in the supervisor's office. A mentality.
Mindset.
The mentality.
See, I agree with you.
A mindset.
I agree with you.
This is meant to change it. And when you change it, you won't need all the signs. You won't need all this stuff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Strauss. Next, Mr. Copstein.
Jay Copstein, first with what Councilmember Roca mentioned. Yes, I did provide everybody on the board and the highway superintendent the New York State list of truck routes and the like. I will make that list available again. And it does list Keir Street as a truck route because of UPS. That's first. Secondly, it might also be helpful to red curb that line at the same time, because people will see that faster than they will see the traffic sign. And lastly, with respect to Mr. Strauss, not all things that people think are unlawful are unlawful. So a U-turn in a business district is one thing, but a U-turn outside a business district is something else, and it's usually lawful unless it interferes with traffic. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? A motion to close?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Board members?
Yep.
I'm
I'm
Any
good.
Ready to go?
questions? Any last minute discussion?
Nope.
Then we'll make a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
So did we done? Okay.
Well, now we're going to go on to the rest of the program, and they've waited quite some time. Waited quite some time.
And not just tonight.
And not just tonight. We're going to move over to resolutions. Before I do, I want to invite Jennifer O'Neill, the director of the John C. Hart Memorial Library, to the podium.
We have 100 people or 50 here?
A lot. Good evening. As Matt said, my name is Jennifer O'Neill, and I'm the library director at John C. Hart Memorial Library. This is a big year for the library. We are celebrating 100 years of service to the town of Yorktown. While residents have been able to enjoy all the wonderful services provided by the library, we should not forget that it's as a result of the hard work and dedication of the library staff. It's my honor and privilege tonight to rectify a long-standing wage inequity. This town board is making history tonight. For more than 20 years, the women of the library have been fighting for pay equality. More than 20 years. They have repeatedly asked to be moved from the A pay scale rate to the A1 pay scale rate. It's long overdue, and tonight it becomes a reality. We could not have done it alone, and we have a number of people to thank. Matt Slater, without your leadership, willingness to listen, and ability to quickly recognize a long-standing injustice, this would not have moved forward and been resolved. Matt, you and this board, Tom Diana, Ed Lochterman, Vishnu Patel, and Alice Roker, will be remembered for being on the right side of history. The library staff would like to also thank the Library Board of Trustees for publicly speaking on the staff's behalf and financially supporting this move. Patricia Hallinan, the former library director, was a tireless champion for this issue and recognized the importance of achieving this goal throughout her tenure. Lastly, we would like to thank Vinnie Castaldo, the CSEA Labor Relations Specialist and local unit, for patiently answering the barrage of emails and phone messages from my staff, and for negotiating this stipulation of agreement that's being passed tonight. This is about equality. This is about courage. This is about doing the right thing, and it's about time. Thank you. Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you. There's two other. I did want to recognize also Kathy Lamparato, is she still here? Oh, there you are. I thought you snuck out.
Right.
And her board, they've been great. And one other person is Pat Caparel, our comptroller, who this would not have happened without. And I think hopefully she went home finally, but knowing her, she still is upstairs. But this was a team effort that we identified early on during our transition. Met with you and the library board and your staff, and just very happy to see it come to a conclusion. And so, does any other?
I'm grateful.
Any other board member have anything to say?
Yes, and also, your board, this really library board is also always supporting you. I mean, and don't forget that the library has the best bathroom. You can go anywhere in the town.
That's a tough act to follow.
I just want to say, I'm very happy we're able to finally push this over the line. I know when you came before us, since I've been on the board, we've been trying to make it happen, and I'm very glad that we all were able to get there and move it through.
Yeah, we actually thought it was done at one point in time when it actually was not, right, Shirley? When in all actuality it was not, and we started to move it forward from that point, and we're happy that we could have done that.
The scary part, I remember when I got on the board, it was like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Why did it happen? And no one was able to answer that question.
Actually, it hasn't really happened yet. We haven't voted on it.
No. I'm saying why they were separated.
Originally,
Yeah, no, I know.
Didn't
No.
make any sense.
Well, at the end of the
And I
day, we're
think there was-
rectifying it.
Yeah.
I
And
think
we
it's
will
good
be
for the
able to
town.
remember how it was fixed
Yep.
and who fixed it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So with that being said, a resolution authorized supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Civil Service Employees Association, Inc., Local 1000, AFSCME, AFSFL, CIO, Town of Yorktown Unit 9181, to move all CSCA represented library employees from Schedule A CSCA pay scale to Schedule A-1.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Now you can celebrate, right? I met with them. When I met with them, they started cheering. I said, no, you're not cheering yet. It's not done, but now you can cheer. So that's great. And the other person, Keith Kuchera from the CSCA as well, the CSCA president.
Yeah.
I do want to recognize our local CSCA president and their board. I do want to just skip while, Jennifer, you're still here, because I do believe if we could just... We also have from the John C. Hart Library, while you're still standing there, this is on page 5. Recognize the John C. Hart Memorial Library's 100 years of outstanding service to the community. I don't know if you want to say a few words to that regard, more than you've already said.
We just owe a debt of gratitude to all those who went before us. 100 years is a really long time to keep something going, and they certainly ran into obstacles along the way, but they kept going and kept serving the good people of Yorktown. So in that vein, we hope to continue their legacy, and we have a lot of really exciting events planned for this year. So stay tuned and stop by.
Well, we do have first off, thank you for all you do, and to your staff for doing a phenomenal job every single day. My son loves going to the library. But we do have a proclamation as well commemorating the 100th anniversary since you are here. And I'd like to invite the staff to join us on the stage, and we'll take a photo with the town board.
So
sorry,
so
we'll
moved.
take a vote.
Second.
Yeah.
So I motion.
Move second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think the library is the only building in the town is most energy efficient.
Yes, because of our new one.
I don't try anymore. Come on up.
All right, so this is 100th anniversary
There are a lot of us.
All right, how we doing, Ken? Are we center?
No.
Can we get Kathy? Yeah, Kathy's in, right? Melody, you're in. Alice?
I'm here.
Good. Squeeze it in.
I'm here. You can squeeze in.
No, if you're maybe in
Hold on. You have one more.
missing 50 votes.
All right. Congratulations.
I had to put you on the spot,
Okay. Hey. Very welcome. Well deserved.
Oh, you.
We should have saved that for the end. They're all walking.
Yeah.
They're all walking out before
It's
the
all right.
encore.
It's all right. Here we go.
Looks
So,
like a budget hearing.
We're gonna continue with our agenda so we can end.
Alrighty then.
We just have everyone's attention so we can continue here. I appreciate it. So we're going to move now to recognize women. It's actually fitting that we did this today,
Yes, it is.
right? It's
It is.
fitting that we did this for the library because now we're going to recognize Women's History Month. And I would like to take the time just to read through.
Why don't I read some of it
would you
since
like
I'm
to
the
read?
only woman?
Then why don't you read it? Go for
Well,
it.
Diana might want to read some
There are
too.
two of
I'm the
them.
only woman on the board.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, let
ahead.
her read stuff.
Councilwoman Roker.
Thank you.
And I'm going to say emotion, okay? At the
Now
end.
let Alice make the motion on it.
At the end.
But I must tell you, this came from Matt, and it really is a wonderful resolution.
Thank you.
Whereas March stands as Women's History Month, and March 8th recognized as International Women's Day. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment guaranteeing and protecting women's right to vote, not that many years ago. Whereas the town of Yorktown recognizes and acknowledges the countless women who have contributed to the advancement of our culture through a multitude of roles within society. And whereas Women's History Month gives our community time to reflect on the struggles and triumphs of women throughout our national society. And whereas New York State and its citizens have a long and proven history of embracing the unlimited potential of women in one society, including holding the first Women's Rights Convention in 1848 at Seneca Falls. And actually, Sojourner Truth was at that convention, guaranteeing women the right to vote in 1917, which was 3 years before the ratification of the 19th Amendment, electing the first African-American woman to Congress in 1968. Through the appointment of the first Hispanic Justice of the United States Supreme Court in 2000, and through the appointments of the first African-American woman to serve as Attorney General of the state of New York in 2015. My partner, go.
All right.
Whereas the Yorktown Historical Society will present an educational program titled Women, Suffrage Through Local Historical Material, featuring historian Sarah Johnson at the John C. Hart Memorial Library on Thursday, March 19, 2020, in recognition of Women's History Month. Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Yorktown recognizes March as Women's History Month, and be it further resolved, the town of Yorktown reaffirms itself as a community of hope, generosity, and acceptance to everyone, regardless of gender, religion, race, national origin, ethnicity, culture, and orientation.
Have a motion?
Second.
No. Alice, you want to make the motion?
Do we have a motion?
Second. Motion, all right.
Do you have the motion?
Are you motioning or are you
No,
seconding?
you motion. You motion. Vishnu
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
I just want to have a comment. Sitting council person and previously also town clerk and interim supervisor. Congratulations. And to each and every woman who has served on this board and in this building.
Then I must defer to my clerk who was before me.
Yes.
Jerry Schwab.
And the supervisor, former
And
supervisor.
former supervisor Susan Siegel.
And
Susan Siegel.
anyone who has served, in the past.
Yeah, that's a
Thank
good
you
one.
for that.
That's a good one. All right, next. And I hear Highway Superintendent Paganelli. Don't get too
Chomping at the bit.
Don't get too giddy on this one. This is regarding our favorite
Hot topic.
replacement wall. We are going to accept the proposed substitution from Remus Industries, LLC, Laura Lai Industries, LLC, JV of Stone Strong, in place of Ready Rock for the Mohegan Avenue replacement project. And finally bringing this to a close. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? I'm sorry?
Aye.
Did you-
Aye. I just
all-
want to get this done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to vote aye for this, but I have reservations
I know
on the Stone Strong product being used. If it wasn't for the time constraints, the safety and the drainage that's going to be included here, I would vote no on this. I don't believe that this is the product to use. And Diana, please put that into the record for me.
And I have a comment on that one. I have traveled about 18 miles. We're all different size and shape with the engineer, okay? And he makes more money than anybody has made the combined salary a year, okay? And I got his blessing. and I happen to know that person. He's an engineer, architect, and a licensed practitioner. Okay. Last week, and I spent that much time to understand why this material can do the job, and he explained to me some of them blocks are bigger than that square and 50 feet high, 30 feet high. They have a bolted. Ours is nothing. Only thing I was not very clear that what will be the first bottom. How hard. The surface, but he agreed. He showed the plan, and it's really wonderful to be, tell by professional guy, not too far away from the other side of the river, and that's why I sent you the email, that this is really a good project, and we should move forward because there is not much difference, and then a warranty comes with his name,
You know what, Vishnu, I understand what you're saying. I still have this problem that we have been how long have we been trying to do this
Since
project?
2017 is when it first came to fruition.
16, and
Okay.
then this issue of
spent
this
a year.
This issue specifically on the substitution material has been a year-long endeavor.
And I think
for
that
the town.
is prohibitive. A year to get the question answered. Is it?
You don't know the half of it.
It's been a
It's
been a bear.
Trust me.
It's been a bear. I want to give Highway Superintendent Paganelli a ton of credit for sticking with this thing and helping me through it, because he really has. Ultimately, and I don't know, Superintendent Paganelli, if you want to give some comments to it, but ultimately, after analyzing this backwards and forwards, 18 different ways, it came down to timing.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
It came down to timing.
Somehow along the way, and you know me, I'm transparent, somewhere along the way, last year the Ready Rock was in stock, ready to start. And all of a sudden, we started this questioning about a substitution as a result of what was put into the bid specs, that a suitable substitution was okay. And unfortunately, at this point, our back is to the wall. And I agree with Councilman Diana. I understand your trepidation, but I have done countless hours, myself and my deputy, of research of Stone, whatever it is. And, here's what people need to understand. Mohegan Avenue was a goat trail. Okay, very few of our roads in Yorktown are engineered roads like 684. Most of them started out as dirt roads, then they went to oil and stone. Then somebody said, well, I'd like to get this paved. So we put an inch of blacktop on top of oil and stone, and the road became paved. And then we just piled layers of blacktop on, for all eternity. So that being said, there are major drainage issues on Mohegan Avenue, particularly in the area of disturbance. The strong stone suits a better drainage problem area, believe it or not. This is my impression, and certainly Councilman Diana is entitled to his. But my takeaway from it after doing countless, looking at countless videos, talking to numerous contractors who didn't even get the job, they were all comfortable that Strongstone is a good solution. And for the first time, the good thing is, as Councilman Diana said, we'll have the refund credit from Remus Industries that will allow us, for the first time in history, to do any mitigation with respect to phosphorus for Lake Mohegan. So that's the home run.
But David, that was the problem. Was why did it take 1 year?
Yeah,
1 year for this person to show us that it's equal.
So
I don't want to sit here and throw people under the bus.
Don't need to go
I will
down
not
the
do
road.
that.
At the end of the day, we have and I also wanted to add to Dave's.
I would love to, but I will not.
I also wanted to add to Highway Superintendent Paganelli's comments. We also have the report from Manganero, signed and sealed
and stamped. Yes.
Signed and stamped from the engineer, stating that it is a suitable replacement, stating that the $18,000 credit is correct. Again, we've looked over this more ways than you can count.
That should go in the clerk's file, because if God forbid anything happens, it goes to.
So I will send you that copy immediately. I apologize. I thought that it was disseminated across the board. Now, but you will have a copy, and it should be added to the record immediately. Thank you. So the issue is timing. If Strongstone, Stone Strong, should be ready. Whoever, the Stone, they'll be ready in 2 weeks
Block will be on the site in 2 weeks.
Block will be on the site in 2 weeks, and I know we have Ken Belford
en-
from the Mohegan Lake Improvement District here, so you can let people know.
Engineering's been done already on this.
Right.
And just to again, so that's 2 weeks. However, Ready Rock, and correct me if I'm wrong, Highway Superintendent Paganelli, was a minimum of 6 weeks, and that's best
So
case scenario.
here's the situation with Ready Rock. Our distributor is Mid-Hudson Concrete. I spoke to her for over an hour, the woman who told me that this was in stock last year when this whole thing, unfortunately, didn't get addressed, okay, which we could have had it done last year. So that being said, you've got a week at least for engineering, okay, because stone is not engineered. It has to be engineered for the specific project. Then you've got a minimum of 2 weeks before you see a stone on the ground, probably more like 4. What affects that, even doubles that time frame, is, and fortunately this hasn't happened yet, but if you have a cold March, if the March temperatures are sub-freezing, it hampers their production capabilities by 50%. That's a problem. So she said, Dave, I don't want to lie to you, but realistically, you've got to look at between 6 and 10 weeks before, and a lot of the stones, these are 1,200 stones, okay? A lot of them are 60-inch stones, which are huge. And they can only transport, it's simple math, they can only transport 10 stones a day once they are made. So that being said, figure it out. It'll be forever.
And on top of that,
and
from
then,
the contractor's standpoint, they've already procured work for the spring and the summer.
Yes.
So the timing just wasn't lining up.
That was the other thing a lot of people weren't aware of, that the contractor's doing a lot of work for the Yonkers School District, and they have to do that during the summer. Our intent from the jump was to do this work during the summer and not have to, detour buses. Unfortunately, since they weren't sitting around for a year waiting for Yorktown to get their act together,
the last
now
comment,
this is where we're at.
Okay, Justin, I have one comment. If somebody would you like to explain how the blocks are made? They can make a cement and concrete mixture, and they cast each one at a time, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, they have to be made
they know,
individually.
and they know how to mechanical strength and then slide and friction and all that. These numbers are already compatible. It's on a computer,
Correct. The last statement I just want to make is I told Highway Superintendent Paganelli that we'd be doing this by April 1st. He told me I
Correct.
was out of my mind crazy, and we never get it done.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I just, for the record, want to say told you so.
Well, yeah, I pulled you across the finish line. Don't worry about it.
You did. Team effort. All right,
So
moving
when,
on.
when are we closing that road?
Well, actually, I was out there, what day is today, Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Yesterday. I told you, Alzheimer's is the son of a gun.
It is.
You're Tommy, right?
I am.
Yeah, thought so. I'm trying to figure out, what I believe is going to have to be done is Kimball, Hillside, and Lakeside are going to have to, I'm trying to figure out the best, those are going to have to become, 2 of those roads are going to have to become one-way roads. Because, the traffic is impossible with 2 cars, let alone school bus going up and over the mountain. So I'm working on the whatchamacallit. As a matter of fact, I just sent Remus a thing saying, give me an estimated time of road closure, that you need that road closed. Don't just, don't just howdy-doody it and, let's just close the road for 3 months. Well, that's not too peachy keen for us.
Right.
So.
To all of our friends in Mohegan Lake, and again, I know Ken Belford's here, just happy to move this forward. And I do want to move on to the next.
I have that.
And
Tommy,
the next resolution, it authorizes the comptroller to earmark $18,000 from the savings on the Mohegan Ave replacement project substitution to the Highway Department drainage line. Again, that's going to be used specifically for the first stormwater retrofits for the lake, as well as additional drainage. Can I entertain a motion?
Motion.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Moving on. From the Finance Department, authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Franzoso Contracting in the amount of $8,930 for siding replacement of the bathhouse at Mohegan Beach Park District. I'm going to continue through. Authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Franzoso Contracting in the amount of $4,925 to supply and install 2 bathroom doors at Mohegan Beach Park District. Authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with Salem Fence in the amount of $16,500 to replace the chain link fence at the Mohegan Beach Park District. I'm just going to continue through the rest of the agenda. Authorize the Parks, and this is from the Parks and Recreation Department, authorize the Parks and Recreation Department to purchase a Ford F-350 XLT 4WD utility truck from Metro Ford Sales, Inc. for a total cost of $45,959. And I believe that's actually less than what they originally had been quoted last year. From the receiver of taxes, resolved that the comptroller is authorized to refund the following duplicate tax payments.
Okay, can I ask you one question? You know, we are doing this thing all the time. So when somebody sends the check, if the receiver of the taxes say that this is a duplicate, you know, even after they open the envelope, why don't they send it back so you don't have to change all the bookkeeping and like this, you know?
That's a question. That's a question that we have to go over with the tax receiver. But I think they process. They process everything that comes through. And
yeah, because this way, you know, if there is a question, you know, why do you want to?
I think it's easier.
Twice?
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think it's easier said than done because they're getting so many payments, and so to rectify and match those payments as they're before they're deposited.
Oh, I see. They just receive the check and then
I understand. I understand.
But I think, you know, because
I'll follow up with our tax receiver and get
because you know they can ask for interest if you keep the money here.
Yeah.
That's another 9% interest we may have to pay.
Yeah. So I'll find out for you, Councilman.
Okay, thank you.
From the Refuge and Recycling Department, authorized Refuge and Recycling Department to place an order for the purchase of one 2021 Mack Granite rear-loading Packer truck at the total cost of $249,748.69. For the record, this was budgeted in the 2020 budget.
Yep.
From the Senior Center, authorized the Senior Nutrition Center to transport seniors from the Jefferson Village Clubhouse at the Albert A. Capellini from the Jefferson Village Clubhouse to the Albert A. Capellini Community and Cultural Center on May 1st, 2020 for a teen center fundraiser. I'm going to ask for a motion on these resolutions.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Our last item is from the town engineer. It authorizes the engineer to issue a stormwater management and tree removal permit for construction of a single-family residence in Madison Court. I'm going to make a motion that we table this
So moved.
Resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank
Any
you.
opposed? No. And with that being said, that completes the agenda. We are going to make a motion to go into closed session to continue our conversations from earlier today. And so with that being said, can I have a motion for
Motion.
If you don't want to wait.
it's negotiations with
sure?
our and legal. I'm sorry, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Closed session.